Directions have been cleared. Great news in that respect. And as far as your forecast goes, 79 will be our high today. That overnight low 49. And then we get into the low 80s all of next week. And the overnight low is actually a little bit warmer, more into like the middle 50s. So a little bit nicer in the mornings. But right now we are kind of holding steady. It is sunny right now and 47 on the early game.
WNKT-FM Eastover, Columbia.
Congrats to the Gamecocks women on another national championship.
A Cumulus media station.
It's Reaction Monday. Tell us all about it.
For our guys to be able to come in here and do what we did today, coming off the heartbreak of last week, couldn't be more proud of them.
Sponsored by Carolina Honda Powerhouse, your local Honda motorcycle, ATV side-by-side superstore. Exit 70 up I-20, turn by the Flying J. Online at carolinahonda.com.
From the Midlands to the PD to the beach, the Game Network. The Extra Point with your hosts Tyler Head and Jack Veltri from Gamecock Central.
Sponsored by Pete Alewine Pool and Spa
on the Game Network. And don't forget to download the 107.5 The Game app.
9 o'clock on your Monday morning. Welcome in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head, Jack Veltri be along with me in just a moment. As, we got positive things to talk about today, which is a nice change of pace after what's happened over the past few weeks. South Carolina goes in to Norman, Oklahoma, and not only wins against the Oklahoma Sooners, Apps Firehouse Subs text line 803-404-6100, same number for the Loves Chevrolet phone line, as well as we break down everything that happened on Saturday as the Gamecocks improved to 4-3 on the season and inched closer to hopefully getting themselves back to bowl eligibility. But first, as we have to do each and every morning at 9 a.m., it's time for the Sandstorm Pick-Me-Up.
Time to get hyped.
Here's your 9 a.m. Sandstorm.
Sponsored by George Sink Injury Lawyers. Just call all nines.
It is time for your 9 a.m. Sandstorm Pick Me Up, brought to you by South Carolina's largest injury law firm, George Sink Injury Lawyers. If you've been hurt in the car or at work, call George Sink now at 803-ALL-9. So again, 35-9 victory for South Carolina on Saturday. And, you know, this is a game that we spent the entire week last week really dogging this Oklahoma offense. To the point, we talked about it so much, it almost got to the point. I know there are a lot of people out there that were texting in and calling in all week long saying, man, you guys are saying they're so bad, but they're going to go out there and put up 450 yards. I just got that feeling. And it got to the point at the end of last week where, in a way, I was almost kind of doubting myself a little bit, where I said, man, we really have been saying how bad Oklahoma's defense is or offense is this entire week. Maybe they are going to go out there and really surprise us. Well, that did not end up being the case, because right out of the gate, South Carolina, on the first play of the game, Nicky Maori steps in front of the pass and takes it away. And a couple plays later, South Carolina's in the end zone with the Rocket Sanders touchdown. And then you blink, and it's 21-0 after Tonka Hemingway gets his scoop and score on the following defensive drive. And then Nicky Maori, once again, goes out there and has his own pick six. We are 5 minutes into this game on Saturday, and I turned to Terry. We're watching this game at O'Hara's. And after Tonka had a scoop and score that made it 14-0, I said, I think this game's over, because I didn't think that Oklahoma's offense was capable of putting up 14 points on South Carolina's defense. And then when Nicky Maori gets his pick six, I really turned to Terry and said, yeah, the game's actually over now. There's still 55 minutes left to play on the clock. And I think that this game's already over. And it effectively was, because from there, Oklahoma, they put together, or I wouldn't call it a drive. They had South Carolina had a busted coverage that Oklahoma was able to take advantage of, and and be able to get that one touchdown. But other than that, you didn't have to sweat this game at all. And Carolina cruised to a very, very comfortable victory, again, 35-9, to be able to get themselves in situations to get to their fourth win. As we move ahead to the second half of the of the season here. So, and I thought it was hilarious as well, and like Beamer doesn't have a vendetta against Oklahoma, obviously. Beamer doesn't have a vendetta against Oklahoma, obviously, but the fact that, he's going for the 2-point try and all those kind of things as this game's rolling along was just really hilarious to me. And, I understand the aggressiveness behind it, but, I think Oklahoma took enough of a beating in this game, as it was. So as we kind of break this game down, again, Jack Belcher will be along with me here in just a second. There's a lot to unpack in this game. And I want to give credit to our own Wes Mitchell of Gamecock Central, as all week long he said that, we were probably going to see Jackson Arnold at some point in this game. And the dynamic of this quarterback situation in Oklahoma has been so interesting because, you had Jackson Arnold, who came into the season as the highly touted, quarterback, 5-star kid that was, the replacement for Dylan Gabriel, who moved on to Oregon, obviously. And they didn't really give him that long of a leash to start the year. He didn't play great in that first half against Tennessee, but completely abandoning him at that point seemed a little bit odd, certainly. But they made the choice they made. And they end up bringing in Michael Hawkins Jr. And, through the couple games that he played, he wasn't all that great. But he was really bad to start the game on Saturday, and I don't think it surprised anybody, Jack, when they eventually turned to number 11. He comes trotting out there, and, well, the offense didn't really look a whole lot better after that, minus the one touchdown.
Yeah, what's going on, brother? Thank you for having me back on. But, yeah, it was some game, huh? Just I really couldn't believe how fast of a start they got off to. I think throughout the week we kind of thought, like, okay, this is going to be like a low-scoring game. Whoever makes the mistake is going to end up paying and lose this game, and it'll be the difference in the game. I mean, I think that everyone thought that in their right mind. But this game, it's like Oklahoma made 3 mistakes in, I think, 7 or 8 plays, and that was the difference in the game. Like, Oklahoma was not coming back after falling behind 21-0. And I think a big part of that is it's not so much Michael Hawkins. It's obviously through the picks, so obviously it's on him and stuff, and the fumble. But, I mean, the pressure South Carolina forced. Go look back at those 2 interceptions. Dylan Stewart nearly got to Hawkins on the first play of the game. He gets to him on the second interception, the one that went for a pick 6. He hits him, and the ball goes into no man's land. And Nicky Moore is able to take it back the other way. So it starts up front with the defense forcing the pressure, and then the secondary taking care of the rest.
Yeah, and again, I think it's hilarious by the time that South Carolina got to its 6th offensive play of the game, they were already up by 3 touchdowns. I don't know, and you can give a good perspective because you were there. What was kind of the progression of the fan base viewing this game? Because, again, it was a whiteout game. Everybody seemed really hype. I saw Barry Switzer was there on the pregame show. Like, everybody seemed to be pretty hyped about this game, and then the air gets taken out 5 minutes in.
So, yeah, it was and let me just say this. Oklahoma was a great time. Really enjoyed it. Like, SEC environment. I definitely, very nice people. But it was a whiteout crowd. It was the lower bowls filled pretty much. There were a lot of Gamecock fans though there, but kind of as it went on, you heard boos. You heard boos. I think really early in the game, and then a lot of people ended up leaving. And it's like, why would you? It's kind of like, why would you want to sit and watch that product? Oklahoma fans are probably so used to winning and stuff, and on the outside of the stadium, they have their 50 conference championships, 7 national titles, and however many bowl championships they have. Well, I mean, now you're in the SEC. It's not anything like that anymore. Any week you can lose a game. Any given Saturday, man. It's how it goes. But yeah, I mean, it was a really I don't want to say hostile, but just kind of as the game kind of progressed, it's like, what are we doing here if you're an Oklahoma fan?
And I know this is not a good Oklahoma team, but when you think about, and I know we said all last week, don't pay attention to the brand. The fact that you went into Norman, Oklahoma, the first time South Carolina's ever played them, and embarrass them like that, I don't think it's on quite the same level as like the Tennessee or Clemson win from 2 years ago. But this is a pretty darn significant accomplishment for Shane Beamer as a head coach to go into a place like that, could have been a house of horrors for you and just dominate the way that you did. Like, that's a feather in your cap, honestly.
Oh, totally. Like, anyone that says it's not a big win, they're crazy. Like, this is as Shane put it, a blue blood type of program. Like, this is a program with a lot of history and a lot more than South Carolina is probably ever going to have. So, look, it's a huge win for this team. They needed it badly. Obviously, Oklahoma needed this type of game too, but they obviously didn't get it. So South Carolina was the one to come out on top, and it really sets the table for a potentially good end of the year with 5 games to go. You have the bye week now, and they didn't just embarrass Oklahoma. I mean, they flat out just made them look silly. Like, they got the 2-point conversion. They tried all these different trick plays, the fake field goal. Heck, I think the cherry on top was, and I know Oklahoma fans were like, I don't even know if I want to say pissed, but just kind of like, this is so fitting for how bad this day has been. Davis Bevel, the former Oklahoma quarterback, kneeling the game out. I think that was just salt in the wound, right? That was so very funny to watch.
Yeah, that's really funny to think about that they probably would, which that's probably not a fair thing to say because you can clearly see the skill of Jackson Arnold, and you can see some of it with Mike Hawkins Jr. behind that offensive line. And without any viable pass, Peyton Manning couldn't succeed in that offense. You know what I mean? Like, you're setting whatever quarterback you plug in up for failure. And I was going to say, well, they would have loved to have had Davis Bevel compared to what they have. But no, Davis Bevel wouldn't have been successful in that offense either. It's just a no-win situation. We'll get into some of the staff changes they made since that game happened a little bit later on in the hour, as well as get a pulse of that fan base because they are not in a good way right now. But that's just a disaster of a program as of right now, which is a weird thing to say about a team that 9 days ago was in the top 25 and sitting at 4-2, but they are turning in the wrong direction. But I look at that because we've talked ad nauseum about Carolina's schedule so far this year. And yeah, you lose a heartbreaker to LSU. You lose another heartbreaker to Alabama. You get dominated by Ole Miss. That one's not really debatable there. But the games that you've won in conference, which are now Kentucky and Oklahoma, which are 2 teams, as we're learning as the season goes along, that aren't really that good, but you beat them exactly the way you're supposed to beat them. You beat Kentucky by 25 points in their house, and now you've beaten Oklahoma by 26 points in their house. That's how you should win those games if you're truly the better team.
Yeah, no, totally. And like Oklahoma, their schedule gets ridiculously tougher from here. What, they get Maine's their easiest game left? Like,
that's the only
gimme. That might be their only win the rest of the way because you get Missouri, you get Bama, you go to Baton Rouge. I'm sure that's gonna be a night game. I'm missing someone else, but you get the schedule is pretty tough from here on out for Oklahoma.
If you want to enjoy this win just a little bit more as a South Carolina fan, I did this yesterday. Go to OU Insider's YouTube channel. There's about a 15-minute, they are standing on the field after the game, post-game reaction, and they are just at a complete loss for words. If you want to just squeeze a little more enjoyment out of this win, go and watch that when you have time today.
Oh, my gosh. And it's like, what did you expect? Oklahoma, it's not like Oklahoma's coming off this huge win over Texas or something. That'd be different. But it's like you came off a 31-point loss to Texas. You know you're not good. The offensive line is horrendous. If we talk about South Carolina's offensive line being bad, this offensive line is miles worse. Their quarterback play just isn't working, and it's because of like you said, the receivers, the running backs aren't doing anything. Their defense is the only saving grace of that entire team. It is just their offense is abysmal, man.
And look, we'll get into South Carolina's own offensive line problems a little bit later on in the hour here, but if you had to hand out the Joe Moore Award on Saturday in Norman, Oklahoma, Carolina would have got it in the first 5 minutes of the game. That's how bad Oklahoma's offensive line is.
Oh, it's horrible. It's just, and it's a credit to South Carolina's D-line and all those guys, but man, it's like they couldn't block. Dylan Stewart was just blowing by that offensive tackle the entire day, and it's just It's another field day for this defense.
We will document how great of a day it was for the defense coming up next, talk about some individuals and the kind of days they had on Saturday and what this means for the year, for the final 5 games of the regular season as well. It is The Extra Point. He is Jack Veltri from Gamecock Central. I'm Tyler Head. On your Reaction Monday, let us know your thoughts. 803-404-6100, Love Chevrolet phone lines, as well as the Firehouse Subs text line here on The Game.
The Game Network in Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.5 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach.
100.3 The Game.
We all love streaking. I mean, streaming. Until we have to pay for it. But not when you stream The Game.
And how much does it cost?
It's free.
Just go to iTunes or Google Play and download the 107.5 The Game app. And stream for no charge. And listen for no charge. 107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Bothered by back, neck, shoulder, or joint pain? Get back in the game with the Joint Chiropractic. No appointment is necessary and no need to worry about insurance. The new patient special includes a consultation, exam, and chiropractic adjustment for just $29. At the Joint Chiropractic, you don't have to feel bad to feel better. Walk in today without an appointment. It's affordable, and clinics are conveniently located in Forest Acres, Harbison, Killian, and Lexington. TheJoint.com.
Hey, this is Paul Romanstein, proud owner of Midlands Landscape and Lawns, here today with my 2 sons.
Hey, I'm Blake Romanstein. Midlands Landscape and Lawns is a family-owned business rooted right here in the Midlands for over 30 years.
And I'm Braden Romanstein. We're not just local, we're your neighbors, and we're going to take care of you like you live next door.
From residential landscaping to hardscape design and installation to maintenance and everything in between. Call or visit Midlands Landscape and Lawns today at midlandslandscape.com.
Skip the oil frying with air. Like a Bosch. Crispy like the county fair. Like a Bosch. Cook like a Bosch.
Go inside the nest on Gadsden Street in the Vista to find out how you can cook like a Bosch.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa Hostetler-Brown. If you or a loved one are over 65 and haven't completed a long-term care planning consultation, now is the time. Did you know that if you aren't able to afford the high cost of skilled care, your assets can be rapidly depleted to only $2,000 unless you plan 5 years in advance? Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
This year, Roy and Dana Finley are shaking things up at AAA Heating and Air. For the next 12 months, they're telling their customers no. Get a new system purchase with no payments and no interest for an entire year. You heard that right. Purchase a new system now and make no payments for a full 12 months. So do what I did. Call AAA Heating and Air for your free estimate and tell them Jay Phillips sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
No one likes to talk about the injuries, pain, disability, and lost loved ones that result from terrible car and tractor-trailer accidents. I'm Jason Reynolds. At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we're honored to be the lawyers our clients rely on during their toughest moments.
And I'm Stephen Samuels. When a work injury disrupts your life, I work hard to get you the medical treatment and workers' compensation you depend on.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 803-779-4000.
Want to get lucky? It's your lucky day, Gamecocks, because Lucky's Pine Straw now offers mulch. In addition to our quality long-leaf pine straw. Hosting the big games watch party? Why not invite us over first? We'll help you get your yard ready for the big game. Give us a call at 803-360-4850 or stop by 3119 Sunset Boulevard in West Columbia. This season, score a touchdown with Lucky's. Luckies, Lucky's Pine Straw.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Got Got something to say?
Ring us up on the Love Chevy phone line
at 803-404-6100. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 100.5 The Game in Florence. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network.
It's Reaction Monday.
Sponsored by Carolina Honda Powerhouse. CarolinaHonda.com. From the Midlands to the PD to the beach. The Game Network.
The Extra Point with your hosts, Tyler Head and Jack Veltri from Gamecock Central.
Sponsored by Pete Ale Wine, Pool and Spa.
On the Game Network. And don't forget to download the 107.5 The Game app.
The Red quarterback fakes inside. He wants to throw it under pressure. The Gamecocks are there. There's a fumble. Carolina picks it up at the 35. And it's Demetrius Knight running it in for the 10-5 touchdown. Are you kidding me? From 37 yards out, the Gamecocks get their second turnover of this early afternoon. The extra point could make it 14-0.
Defense for touchdowns.
You darn right it is, because that's what happened. 14-0, and Shane Beamer beaming over on that Czar sideline.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Veltri along with you here on your Reaction Monday on the Game. Caught up in the excitement. Todd got that wrong. That was actually Tonk Hemingway that ran the touchdown. It was
I noticed that too.
Demetrius Knight. But I think that encapsulates how chaotic Saturday was. Everybody was getting theirs. Everybody on defense did something. And Demetrius Knight just obliterating Michael Hawkins Jr. on that. And then Tonka Hemingway, just like it bounced into his hands. He was in full stride when he caught that ball and took it in for a touchdown. I always love a good big man touchdown. And Tonka got his in that way on Saturday.
Yeah, well, look, it was a great play. You're totally right. Demetrius Knight was all over the field on Saturday. He was outstanding, probably his best game of the year. And Tonka cleaned it up with the 36-yard touchdown there. That was it's always nice seeing the big men get a touchdown. I know he's had his share of them, and Boogie Huntley had one last year and stuff. So it's definitely cool seeing the defense and the big guys up front make big plays like that.
And look, we know the pass rush is the strength of this team, and we knew they were going to have a pretty good day on Saturday against Oklahoma. I don't know if we saw historic since joining the SEC level of pass rush, because 9 sacks, that is something.
That was unexpected, I think. 9 sacks is a lot. Like, to put it into perspective, I think the last time I've seen anyone have 9 sacks, I think you got to go back to the Mayo Open Classic last year in Charlotte with South Carolina and UNC, when UNC had 9 sacks in that game. So it's been a while, and look, South Carolina deserves it. They played really well on Saturday. Look, that defense is outstanding, and the funny thing about it, man, is that 9 different players recorded those sacks. So it's not like one guy had, like, it's not like Kyle Kennard had 3 sacks and everyone else had, 1 here, 1 there. Like, everyone ate in this game. And I think that's the really cool thing, is that they have all this depth and they have all these different pieces. And you put anyone out there on the field, I know it's Oklahoma's offensive line, but this defense can go out and do it. And that's a really important thing to see.
Well, and, like you said, 9 different guys had sacks, and I just kind of skimmed back through and was taking notes on the things that don't show up in the stat sheet from last night. But as we mentioned, Stewart flushed Michael Hawkins Jr. that forced him into Demetrius Knight, which ended up being the forced fumble into the touchdown there. He also forced the bad throw as he was basically about to hit Michael Hawkins Jr. on the pick 6 that Imanori had a little bit later on. He also flushed I think it was Arnold at that point in time into a sack later on in the game when Tonka Hemingway got to him. Knight had the strip sack. He also stopped the fake punt on a perfect read there. Kyle Kennard on the first play of the game where Hawkins threw the interception to Imanori. He nearly had a sack on that play. So it wasn't just the things that show up in a stat sheet, but these guys were, putting so much pressure, they were forcing these mistakes to happen as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And look, Demetrius Knight snuffed out so many of those plays, especially the fake punt. You see him rolling over to where Bauer Sharp, the tight end for Oklahoma, is on the outside, on the near like the South Carolina sideline, and you see Knight kind of like sprinting over there, and he reads the play perfectly because when the ball snapped, he's literally right there to make it. So it's great football awareness and the ability to make great plays, but it's not just him. It's Nick Emanwari was a dog out there on Saturday. The 2 interceptions, just perfectly read. I think he almost had a third one too, so he was outstanding. And again, just everyone on this defense was phenomenal in this game.
And of course, when you have a defense like South Carolina has, you have the ability to play with just about anybody. Cut number 20 here, Ed. This is Coach Beam right after the game saying, hey, we can go toe-to-toe with anybody in our schedule.
We can go toe-to-toe with anybody in this country. I mean, if you're one of the better teams in the SEC, you're one of the better teams in the entire nation. And our record may not say it, and we know that every week is a grind in this league, Phil, but we've shown that we can go toe-to-toe with the best in this league. And that's what it shows. But even more so than that, it's just the young men that we have in our program. I mean, they're so much fun to be around, and every Sunday I walk off that practice field, like I said, and just grateful to be their coach, because never once, Phil, this whole season have I had to go out to practice and give some rah-rah speech to get them to practice harder, or give some rah-rah speech to motivate them to go play the next week. They stay the course, they work their butts off, and that's what you would expect from a veteran team as well. I mean, we've got a lot of old guys on our team, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm just so happy for them. I mean, you can hear it. I'm so happy for them to just have the success that they had today, and they worked too hard for us to feel the way that we have felt like we did last week. It's really cool to be able to feel this way today.
Jack, we talked about this yesterday on GC Live, but I want to bring it up again. Remember this time last year when Carolina was 0 in October? They didn't have a single takeaway in all those games they lost. And we're sitting here debating, is Clayton White going to have a job when this season's over because the defense was that bad? Let's fast forward to now. Is Clayton White going to get picked up as a head coach at some other school with how good this defense is playing? What a difference the year makes.
I think everyone owes him, because I know it's everyone, because everyone last year is talking about, hey, fire Clayton White, fire him, do this, do that. I think everyone owes him a very important apology, because he is proving to be probably one of the premier candidates to get a head coaching job after this year. And he deserves it if he does end up getting one. Not saying he will, not saying he won't, but he definitely deserves a shot. And he's been a difference maker for South Carolina this year. We talk about the players, and we don't know where South Carolina would be without this defense and the personnel they have out there. But think about it. If South Carolina doesn't have a great defensive coordinator like Clayton White, great players can only make so many great plays. And, Clayton White calls the plays and makes them happen. So he has definitely made a tremendous difference with this year's team.
Well, in the offseason, we heard everybody talking about this defense being quote-unquote historic, and that's something that's worth debating when the season's over, but they're playing pretty darn good right now, which is all the more reason why you don't want to waste a defense this good on a year that may not end up turning out the way that you want it to from an overall record standpoint, because, Jack, there's still a lot of issues with this offense, which we'll have to dive into coming up next, because if you take the takeaways away from this game, if this was just a dead even game, nobody turned the ball over, we're talking about a one-score game here.
Oh, totally. This is just the type of game where you didn't have to be good offensively to win, and your defense pretty much, the game was over by 5 minutes into the game. And I think that kind of just allowed, we'll talk about it in a minute, but I know just it kind of allowed for the offense not to have to be as, they were a little more conservative, I think, is what I'm trying to get at.
We'll dive into the offense coming up next. It is a Monday, though, and tonight, Monday Night Football, Ravens and Buccaneers tonight, 7:30 pregame here on the game, and then kick around 8:15. As always, 2 Monday night games today, by the way. The second one's going to be on ESPN Plus if you have that. We'll dive into the offense and what work it still needs to do as we navigate through the second half of the year. It is the Extra Point. He is Jack Veltri from Gamecock Central. I'm Tyler Head on your Reaction Monday here on the game.
From the Midlands to the PD to the beach.
The Game Network.
It's back! The Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. Just go to 1075thegame.com and register. The pot starts at $100. Every week it increases $100 if Carolina doesn't score a special teams touchdown. But if the Gamecocks do score a special teams touchdown, you could win the pool. Again, just go to 1075thegame.com and register. It's the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest from 1075 The Game.
Tyler Head here for our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialist. I tell you about it all the time, but want to remind you once again, if you start to notice some things around your home that are a little bit odd or peculiar, that could be signs of serious foundation problems. Those things include cracks in your exterior brick, cracks in walls or above windows and door frames, doors and windows that might be sticking a little bit, uneven or bouncy floors, cracks over your garage door, or things along those lines. Again, signs of serious foundation problems. That's where our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialists come in. Go online to schedule an appointment today at cantycanfixit.com. They'll send a professional out to your home to evaluate what's going on with your foundation and get it fixed up right so you and your family can live comfortably going forward. Again, go online to schedule an appointment today at cantycanfixit.com for our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialist.
Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union wants to reward you for saving more of your hard-earned money, and they can't think of a better way to do it than with more cash. When you participate in Palmetto Citizens Save to Win program, every time you make a savings deposit of just $25, you'll be entered into a monthly and quarterly prize drawing for a chance to win up to $5,000. All the money that piles up in your Save to Win account is yours to keep, along with the interest you earned, so there's never been a better time to get the ball rolling on your savings plan. With a Save to Win account, there's nothing to lose and everything to win. Open your 12-month Save to Win term certificate account and start saving today by visiting any of Palmetto Citizens' 14 branches across the Midlands, or go to palmettocitizens.org to learn more. Palmetto Citizens, proudly serving the Midlands since 1936. Account may be subject to penalty for early withdrawal. This credit union is federally insured by the NCUA.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevy, where the winning is only beginning. South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Are you a Gamecock fan that's looking for flexibility to attend the games you want without committing to season tickets? If so, the Gamecock Go Pass is for you. For only $20 a month, your Gamecock Go Pass subscription provides you with access to all non-conference football games, most men's and women's basketball and baseball games, and all softball, soccer, and volleyball games. Plus, you have the ability to add on tickets for conference football games and premier basketball and baseball games for an additional cost. To learn more and sign up today, visit thegamecockclub.com/go.
They say perfection is a journey, and at Carolina Stone Craftsman, that journey leads us to just outside Columbia in Chapin. Our marble, our granite, our quartz, they're sculpted with the highest craftsmanship, honed with family values, and delivered with professional results. Explore the craftsmanship of each slab, see all our new showroom has to offer, and experience our custom hardscapes. Crafted to perfection, experience Carolina Stone Craftsman's workmanship. Take us for granted. Your journey to perfection starts with us, Carolina Stone Craftsman. Just beyond Columbia and Chapin and beyond your expectations. CarolinaStoneCraftsman.com.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it! Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
It's Reaction Monday.
Sponsored by Carolina Honda Powerhouse. CarolinaHonda.com. From the Midlands to the PD to the beach. The Game Network.
Laying the Wood.
Sponsored by Georgia Pacific.
Georgia Pacific is now accepting applications. Entry-level and skilled positions available. Great growth potential.
Georgia Pacific.
Don't touch my V-neck sweater. 1 and 2 and a 1, 2, 3.
Sellers stepping back, going down the sideline, got Josh Simon at the 2 and into the end zone. Touchdown Carolina. Touchdown Josh Simon. That's his second TD on the year. This one good from 33 yards out. That's how you draw it up with 1:54 to go in the first half. The extra point will make it 31-3 Gamecock.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Belcher along with you on your Reaction Monday. It is time for our Lay in the Wood segment brought to you by our friends over at Georgia Pacific. And we obviously gave a lot of credit to South Carolina's defense for their 9-sack performance against Oklahoma on Saturday. And Jack, if I would have told you going into this game that, and this is where I want to give Oklahoma's defense some credit, that Oklahoma would have more overall yards than South Carolina, that Oklahoma's defense would hold the Gamecocks to just over 250 yards, 254 in total, only allow them to average 1.8 yards per rush, would sack Lenore Sellers 6 times, and would hold the Gamecocks to just 33% on third down. That sounds like a pretty darn good defensive day. You would probably say, oof, I don't know if South Carolina's winning that game, right?
Yeah, it kind of sounds like, if you don't tell me about the interceptions or the pick sixes or the points the defense put up, I'm probably thinking like, oh man, South Carolina probably loses this game just because of how horrendous things looked on offense. But yeah, I mean, look, it wasn't a great performance from the offense, but it didn't need to be. By the time you got really going on offense, like the game was already in hand. Like you didn't have to do much. Like a Rocket Sanders touchdown at the beginning of the game was great. Then from there, it was kind of a struggle on offense. And I don't know. I mean, Oklahoma's defense really settled in and played nicely the rest of the game. And then you finally get going near the end of the first half with, as Todd Ellis was just saying there, the Josh Simon touchdown. So it's good to see that the offense wasn't like completely like flustered and looked like awful in this game. Like they had their moments. I don't think it's as bad as it's made out to be. But there is a lot of issues with this offense right now, and I think there's still some things that need to be corrected over the next 2 weeks.
I want to give credit to Lenore Sellers for his performance on Saturday and the way that he played, because, of course, the story of this offense this year has been Sellers, who, again, is learning, but struggling quite a bit, putting the ball in harm's way a lot, whether that be through throwing interceptions or putting the ball on the ground with fumbles. On Saturday, 16 of 24, 175 yards, 1 touchdown, completed 60% of his passes, and no turnovers at all. Team didn't turn the ball over in any way on Saturday. Like, that's a good, solid, very conservative type of day. I thought his decision-making was pretty good overall. He threw the ball away when he needed to, did use his legs and was able to get out of some situations, but also took sacks as well, which, again, way too many sacks than you want to take, but he knew when to not try and force it and when to just go down. Like, those kind of things overall were pretty good. And I would have to imagine that when you have a 21-point lead and you're going up against a team that is pretty bad on offense themselves, that could be a lot of stress taken off your shoulders, not only for him, but for Dow Loggins as well, who didn't have to do really anything crazy, which, again, outside of the 1 touchdown they had to Josh Simon there, Carolina really didn't do a whole lot offensively in this game, and they didn't really need to. So as frustrating as it is to watch, I would imagine they were just going with a very conservative approach for the most part when it came to the play calling, when it came to what they were trying to do on offense, because, again, the defense really did most of the work for them.
I think that's definitely the case. And look, you didn't have to really do much in this game on offense, like I said before, because your defense already put you in a big spot where you're up 21 points. And look, Oklahoma's offense, just why make mistakes and why take risks when you don't have to? Like, you don't give Oklahoma any chances to get themselves going on offense. Like, it's all it takes is one mistake, and it's like, oh, here we go. The wheels are in motion. Not saying that would have happened because Oklahoma is just a really terrible offense in general. for reasons as we know. But I think they played conservative. They did what they needed to do. They made some nice plays here and there. And look, you didn't put the ball in harm's way. I think that is the biggest takeaway I'd probably have from this game is that, yeah, the defense is fantastic and all that, but your offense didn't turn the ball over once in this game. And we know how much of an issue that had been with the fumbles and stuff and then the silly mistakes that you continue to make. This game didn't really feel like there was many of it, and I think that's a really big positive you can take away.
Of course, the big negative just about every single week is what's happening with the offensive line. Again, 6 sacks surrendered in this game to Oklahoma. No real surprise there. And when you look at, and again, give credit to Oklahoma because that is a very good defense. We knew that coming into the game. But still, anytime you give up, 6 sacks on the game, that is obviously a big negative. And no surprise here, looking at Pro Football Focus, the most pressures allowed came off the 2 tackle spots with Josiah Thompson and Casey Henry. We talk about this every single week. We are 7 games into the year. It just is what it is at this point, man. It's not going to get better overnight. They're not going to suddenly start pushing guys around. They're going to give up sacks. Sellers is going to constantly be under pressure. You're just going to have to work around that in the final 5 games and hope it doesn't cost you.
Yeah, we talked about this in depth yesterday on GC Live Sunday Reset when I had you on. It just like you said, it is what it is, man. You gotta just live with it. And as people on the outside, as fans, as reporters, whatever, we kind of just accept the fact that, look, South Carolina is gonna. If not all sacks are made equal, not all of them are just entirely on the offensive line. Everyone plays a part in it, as the coaches and players will tell you 1,000 times. But in the building, they're not looking at it like we do. They're looking at this offensive line is going to get better. They're going to be fine. And I don't know. I mean, I get it. You don't want to accept the fact that they're bad, but it's this group is just not cutting it. And it's great that you have such a good defense making up for all the miscues you have up front on the line. At the same time, though, it's what happens if your defense doesn't show up for a game? Your protection for Sellers is quite honestly awful. What if he gets hurt again? It's you have all these what ifs because of your offensive line. And I think that's a real concern. And it's strange because we thought last year was bad, and that was due to injuries and different guys coming in and out, a different lineup every single week. There's been consistency there this year. I think they've ran out the same starting 5 nearly every game by now. And it's led to just about the same results. So I don't know if it's personnel. I don't know if it's coaching. I just think it's just a lot of everything. And it's just unfortunate to see because we heard so much about this Great Wall of Carolina narrative and stuff. I just haven't seen anything like a Great Wall here. I just see a wall that's been knocked down, essentially.
I liken this, and I brought this up to Terry a little bit earlier on this morning. Do you remember the 2015 Broncos team that beat the Panthers in the Super Bowl? That team was an animal on defense. Their offense was not good. Peyton Manning was, and because he had the neck injuries and he couldn't feel the tips of his fingers, he was incapable of throwing competent passes at that point in time. But that defense was so good, they said, okay, if you guys can manage to get 17 points, we can hold everybody else under 13. We'll win these games. They won the Super Bowl 24-10. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the same identity I think this Carolina team has, where it's okay, our defense can wreak havoc on anyone. We can generate takeaways. We can score on defense, as we've done a lot this year. All right, offense, if you can do enough to get us maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns a game, we can take care of
the issue. Are there struggles on offense and inconsistencies? Yeah, absolutely. But I think there are times where it's you go back to the Alabama game and the LSU game stuff. There are flashes of, okay, this offense, when they find, I think you just want to find some balance of okay, what are you good at? And what are you not good at? And I think you kind of just have to live with the fact that the O-line's not good, but there are enough playmakers in this offense to where you're going to get some big plays from time to time.
We'll come back, wrap up hour number 1 of the Extra Point here, get an assessment for where Oklahoma fans are right now because they're not in a good place. As I mentioned, they even made a staff change last night to this Oklahoma Sooners team after Carolina came in and dominated them to say the least, on Saturday out there in Norman. Hit that coming back. A reminder, literally Special Teams Touchdown Contest rolls on to another week. $800 up for grabs a week and a half from now when Carolina does take on Texas A&M. Go online to 1075thegame.com and register for your chance to win all that money. Thanks to our friends over at Lawyer Lisa. Wrap up hour number 1 of the X Point Reaction Monday. Tyler and Jack here on The Game.
107.5 The Game.
In Columbia.
100.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.3 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. A true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
This is Boomer Esiason with the Sports Minute. Baltimore tackles Tampa Bay in tonight's early kickoff. Derrick Henry has been a monster, making Lamar Jackson and the Ravens the toughest attack to defend these days. Baker Mayfield looks to be having fun again, but he cannot afford to get loose with the football tonight and turn it over to Baltimore's dynamic duo. I like the Ravens on the road and to continue to roll 27-23 on Boomer Esiason.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-583-5795.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-583-5795. That's 800-583-5795.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Tyler Head here for Twin Peaks. I've been saying it all month long. There's no better month on the sports calendar than the month of October. And this week especially may be the best week out of this entire month. You have, of course, the World Series getting started here in just a couple of days with Los Angeles and New York going head-to-head, two huge brands deciding who's going to take home the crown in Major League Baseball this year. NBA season opener coming up tomorrow as well. And, of course, as we talk about each and every day, everything going on with college and pro football as well. TVs as far as the eye can see. Delicious food. 20-degree draft beers. There's never a reason to not be at Twin Peaks, but especially in the month of October, park yourself down there on a weeknight, on a weekend, take in all this amazing action with our friends over at Twin Peaks down in the Vista.
It's your broker, Benji Getzy. 6 straight weeks of declining rates. Now is the time. VA 30-year fixed, 4.8%, APR 5.2. 30-year conventional, 5.5%, APR 5.8. Second home investors, 6.4%. DSCR and fix and flip financing, 6.9%, APR 7.3. So visit Buford.mortgage for the fastest rate quotes in the industry, available 24/7. Thanks for shopping your rate with Buford Lending. We want to be your broker.
Do you have sagging, soft, or bouncy floors in your home? Well, this could be a sign of rotten wood caused by moisture in your crawl space. Damaged wood in your crawl space can affect your home's foundation, and that can affect your home's value, and nobody wants that. Say goodbye to sagging floors and hello to a stable foundation. Contact Canty today for your free inspection at 803-424-8380 or visit cantycanfixit.com.
It's Reaction Monday.
Sponsored by Carolina Honda Powerhouse. CarolinaHonda.com. From the Midlands to the PD to the beach. The Game Network.
The Extra Point with your hosts Tyler Head and Jack Veltri from Gamecock Central.
Sponsored by Pete Alewine Pool and Spa
on the Game Network. And don't forget to download the 1075 The Game app.
This is my last week is my first time in Alabama. This week is my first time in Oklahoma. So, just trying to soak in the moments and don't take any game for granted. See the stadiums, and that's probably kind of been what my thing is. Pregame, I take a lap around the field and just look in the stands, just soak it all in. So it's kind of my mindset on it.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Velcher with you on your Reaction Monday. That was Nicky Minori after his great game on Saturday. What a year he is having so far, about the environment there in Norman and how it wasn't all that intimidating, especially when you jump up on them 21-0 the way that Carolina did. And like we said, when it was 21-0, you knew the game was over because Oklahoma's offense did not have the capability of clawing themselves out of that hole even just 5 minutes into the game. And, well, I guess to no surprise, last night they decided to move on from Seth Luttrell as their offensive coordinator. First year there as he was brought in to replace Jeff Lebby. And this offense, and look, the offensive line's bad. They don't have, quality receivers. No quarterback can survive in that system. And, Brent Venables decides to make the move as John Finley, which is a fantastic name for a coach in the SEC, will now take over play calling duties as he was the co-OC prior to the weekend as, Seth Luttrell's out.
Isn't it just crazy that South Carolina just broke Oklahoma? Like, who would have thought that at the beginning of the year? Like, Oklahoma, this big, proud program, and South Carolina, little South Carolina Gamecocks coming off a 5-7 season, getting an offensive coordinator fired. Like, Oklahoma's been having problems for a little bit now, but Saturday really was just like the cherry on top. Like, it was just a really abysmal performance, man. Like, outside of the one broken play on defense for South Carolina, like, they held Oklahoma in check the entire game. Like, the Sooners could try anything they wanted to, but you just weren't getting by this brick wall that is the Carolina defense. And look, changes got to be made. When you're not being successful in one area, you have to do something different. And this is the direction Oklahoma's going. It's not like they're just going to, demote the play calling duties to someone else. They're just firing the guy and moving on. So I kind of get it.
Look, we know message boards are the extreme of the extreme, and there tends to be a lot of overreactions on those places. But after games like this, I always like to go to the opposing team's message board just to see what the conversation is, to kind of get a pulse of where the fan base is as of right now. So I went over to Sooner Scoop, which is the On3 affiliate for Oklahoma. And let me just read to you some of these post headlines on their Crimson Corner message board. You ready for this? Here's a few. The faith in Britton Venables is wavering. Where does he go from here? We're so bad that Kiffin, I don't know what the rest of that one's going to say. 18-point underdogs opening up against Ole Miss. Fun there. We have who is OU's next head coach? Oh, that's always fun to do. And then a lot of reactions to Seth Luttrell being fired as their offensive coordinator after last night. One says, "I swear to God, if we hire Dan Mullen," making some speculation about who the OC could be. So I say all this, and again, that's the most extreme of the extreme. But the walls are starting to close in out there in Norman. These fans are panicking. Brent Venables got to be feeling the heat. That's a place, and we talked about it a lot last week, that has been the top of college football for a long time. I know Texas had, the playoff appearance last year and everything. Oklahoma dominated the Big 12. Oklahoma owned the Big 12 for a long time. They were routinely winning double-digit games, winning the Big 12 championship. You had Barry Switzer, you had Bob Stoops, even Lincoln Riley, as much as he didn't care about defense, was still winning double-digit games, winning the Big 12, and going to the college football playoff a lot. This is uncharted territory that OU fans are just not used to being in.
No, this is not the Big 12 anymore. Like, again, I talked about earlier, all those conference championships, all those national championships, all those bowl wins on the outside of the stadium that are listed big numbers and stuff. It's not like that anymore. The SEC is big boy football. The Big 12 is offense and no defense, and that's always been the narrative and stuff. Obviously, the Big 12 is a lot different now, and I think it's a lot more competitive. But when Oklahoma was there, it was Oklahoma and then kind of everyone else, and it's not how it is anymore. It's kind of now just like Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, then Oklahoma's somewhere 50 feet under. So it's going to be an adjustment for them, I think, more so than Texas. Like, Texas learned a lot about what the SEC is really like this weekend, of course. Shout out to Georgia. But, yeah, man, it's Oklahoma. this really could be a year where they don't go bowling. It would not shock me at this point.
Well, and like you said, Texas did lose to Georgia, and they're not as dominant as maybe we thought they were a week or so ago, but they at least are a team that, okay, they have the tools, offense, defense, all that kind of stuff, to be competitive in the SEC. Oklahoma doesn't have that as of right now. And again, that goes back to Brennan Riddle's head coach. As somebody that coached at Clemson for as long as he did, that went up against Carolina every year, that took down the Alabamas of the world and Georgias of the world and all these great programs that we went up against, you should know what it takes to compete in this conference, even though you weren't a coach in this conference prior to that. And to show up like this in your first year in the SEC, inexcusable.
It's just awful. And I don't think Brent's going to get fired anytime soon right now, because it's like, okay, it's first year in the SEC. Like, it's one bad year. But like Oklahoma, you go back and look at like kind of how things have been going. It hasn't been the same in a few years. And that is kind of concerning if you're an Oklahoma fan. Like, you're so used to there's a standard that Oklahoma is held to. And when you get beat like you did against Texas, and then you get beat like you did against South Carolina, questions need to start being answered. And I don't know. I guess there is a possibility he could get fired if this season just tanks from here on out.
Well, Oklahoma was teetering on the brink, and Carolina pushed them over the edge with that dominating win on Saturday. More to break down about this as the week goes along, as well as we navigate through the bye week. And Jack, we'll check back in with you tomorrow.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks, man.
Hour number 1 of the Extra Point in the book. Sam Shapiro going to hop in here with me from WIS as he does for hour number 2. As your Action Monday rolls along, hit us up, 803-404-6100 here on the game.
.1075 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Let me tell you once again about our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialist as we make our way through these early days of the fall year. You, of course, are going to be dealing with some rain coming up here in a couple of weeks. And if you have a crawl space under your home and recently experienced a storm, you could have standing water under there as well, which can lead to things like musty smells or awful odors, as well as things like termites and other bad pests that can get inside your home. That's where our friends at Canty Foundation Specialists come in, go online to schedule an appointment today at cantyconvicts.com. They'll come out, evaluate what's going on with your crawl space and get it fixed up right so you and your family can live comfortably going forward. Again, go online to schedule an appointment today at cantyconvicts.com for our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialists.
Get ready to smile because Herndon Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy dealer, is offering an amazing deal right now. Get up to $20,000 off new Silverados. Yes, you heard that right. Up to $20,000 off. Don't wait. Head over to HerndonChevy.com today and drive home in the truck of your dreams. Chevy, together let's drive.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Call 803-510-5447 for complete details.
You already know that Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union offers truly free checking and great rates on auto loans, but did you know they do mortgages too? Whether you need a first or second mortgage, a home equity line of credit, or a loan for construction, renovation, a lot, or a manufactured home, Palmetto Citizens has you covered. They're a community financial institution based solely here in the Midlands, so they offer a refreshingly simple mortgage process you won't get from the big banks or online lenders. Along with a great rate, the Palmetto Citizens Mortgage Team will work with you to tailor the loan to best fit your needs and budget. Apply for your mortgage today by visiting palmettocitizens.org or stopping by any of their 14 branches across the Midlands. Palmetto Citizens, proudly serving this community since 1936. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID number 449962. Approval based on credit worthiness. Certain restrictions may apply.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks VapoStick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors.
Use as directed. VapoStick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
Point! Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
Oh, I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace, you're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at Metamucil.com.
AAA Heating and Air is on the hunt to find the oldest AC unit in our Midland service area. Do you think it could be yours? If you do, it could pay off. AAA Heating and Air and My Oldest AC contest is kicking off, and you have a chance to win a new HVAC system for your home. Just head over to their website, myoldair.com, and complete the online entry form. AAA Heating and Air will draw a winner at random for every 100 entries. It really is that easy. Contest is limited time only. Residents in the AAA Heating and Air service area are eligible to enter. See the terms and rules on their website for a full list of contest rules.
WNKT FM Eastover, Columbia.
The home of the national champion, Gamecocks women's basketball team. Congrats, y'all.
A Cumulus media station.
It's Reaction Monday. Tell us all about it.
9 sacks. I believe that's never been done in the history of the Oklahoma football program. I didn't know the 9 different players. We've just, we got some great players.
Sponsored by Carolina Honda Powerhouse, your local Honda motorcycle, ATV side-by-side superstore. Exit 70 up I-20. Turn by the Flying J. Online at carolinahonda.com.
From the Midlands to the PD to the beach, the Game Network.
Hour number 2 of the Extra Point. Welcome back in. It is Reaction Monday. Tyler Head along with you. Sam Shapiro jumping in here, as he always does on Monday, from WIS. And Sam, Jack and I talked about it over the course of the last hour. Just a feel-good day in terms of how South Carolina won on Saturday. We expected this game to be close. Most all of us that made our staff picks at the end of last week kind of had it around a one-score game. And then we blink and it's 21-0 on Saturday and 5 minutes in, and we kind of knew the game was over at that point in time. So a odd feeling of just having a comfortable, dominant win, but nonetheless, most Carolina fans still feeling pretty good today.
I feel like the general trend just kind of over this season has been every game has been very unpredictable. A lot of those games we didn't think were going to be close were close, and this game we thought was going to be close, and it ended up being a blowout. But, I mean, the defense really put on a show.
Well, and when you're a team like South Carolina that, look, they're not at the top level of the SEC, like, you know, the Georgias and the Texases and the LSUs and stuff like that. But they're a solid team overall. They do have their problems. We talked about offense there in the last hour. But when you go up against a team that is as, abysmal on offense as Oklahoma is, you should beat them by multiple scores, which is exactly what South Carolina did on Saturday.
Yeah, that defense really gave them a proper welcome to the SEC introduction on Saturday. And I know we were talking about this before. I think it was 9 different players had sacks. I mean, between that and the 2 interceptions that kind of kicked off, that on the defensive onslaught, especially in the first quarter. I think it was 21-0.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you not be happy, being a Carolina fan watching that?
Yeah, and we know the strength of this team is its defense, and the offense definitely has room to improve. But when your defense is playing the way that Carolina's is, you're going to have a chance in every single game. And again, you go back, you lost the heartbreaker at LSU. Now, there was some controversy in that game, certainly. And then you lose the tight one there to Alabama last week. But your defense kept you in both those games to one degree or another. Yes, LSU did still score 36 points, but still, you had a chance based on the way that your defense was playing. And Saturday was another example of just how good they can be. And when you kind of project ahead to the final 5 games of the year, yeah, you've got a good Texas A&M team coming to town. Yeah, you have to go on the road to a good Clemson team. Yeah, Vanderbilt's looked really good on offense themselves, but I don't go into those games super fearful because I know if this defense plays as good as we know they're capable of playing, you're at least going to have a shot.
I just think this matchup especially was this was kind of a confidence booster the defense really needed. I feel like there hasn't been a performance this year. They have just completely wiped out their opposing offense, let alone in conference. So I think it was definitely a good ego booster for that defense for sure.
Let's get some reactions here on Your Reaction Monday. Head out to Love Chevrolet phone lines first, 803-404-6100. A guy, Casey in Gilbert, wants to react to the Carolinas win. Casey, appreciate your call as always. What's on your mind today, man?
Woo, doggy, that was a win, wasn't it, fellas?
Yes, sir.
Up. I don't know what to say. That defense is unlike, I'm not going to say anything I've seen at Carolina, but that is by far the best defensive showing I've seen on the road in quite some time. And, props to Shane. I know that meant more to Shane than a lot of people probably realize winning in that place. But this, it's all on Brent Venables. He literally watched Alabama go down against Vanderbilt in our conference. And that was one top dog versus a bottom dog, and the bottom dog come out on top. He should not have taken this game for granted, and I think that he did. Or, they're just that and badly coached. But, he had all of the season to prepare for the SEC. Because in this conference, even the bottom dog on a good day can come up and whoop the top dog. And that's the great thing about our conference. And we're on the trajectory up. I do worry about next year. We're losing a lot on defense. But I'm positive our offense will continue to make strides in the right direction. And today, I'm proud to be a Gamecock.
Appreciate it as always, Casey. Again, 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in. We'll try to get to some of these texts on the Firehouse Subs text line as well. And that's a theme that I've noticed quite a bit this morning, and a lot of people weighing on the text line about this. Just the enjoyment of beating Brent Venables, of all things, because, of course, he was the defensive coordinator at Clemson. And during that dominant run where Clemson was owning South Carolina for the most part, and now he's moved on to Oklahoma, so your first time matching up with him, first time Carolina has ever played Oklahoma. You put that kind of beat down on him as a defensive-minded head coach that he is. A lot of people very, very happy about that. And going to what Casey said, it's very clear that Venables did not build his team or have them ready for what the SEC has to offer. Because, again, they went out there and they got some guys out of the transfer portal on their offensive line. Clearly not good enough. Obviously, the quarterbacks, you can only be so successful playing behind a poor offensive line and not having any pass catchers, but you just don't have the caliber of athlete or the caliber of player on offense at Oklahoma to compete in this conference, and that was very evident on Saturday.
They were not ready for, I guess, the onslaught of what was, that Carolina secondary especially. I just think that it's very exciting to see, it was really exciting to see them put on that defensive performance just because, I don't know, having them come out so early was definitely not expected. I mean, I think we were expecting that maybe in the first half, but I think there was still maybe 5 minutes left in the first quarter.
Yeah. Well, and this, if you take the turnovers out of this game, if Carolina does not generate any takeaways and you don't have the pick six and the scoop and score by Tonkamwe, this is probably a one-score game. It would have ended up being what we thought it was going to be, which is going to be a tight game between two teams that aren't really great on offense and two teams that are really good on defense. But fortunately, Carolina's defense did some of the scoring themselves and put the offense in a position where they didn't really have to do anything the rest of the day. I brought it up earlier. They got outgained by 40 yards. They averaged 1.8 yard per rush. They were 33% on third downs. That is not usually the mark of a team that's going to be super successful, and they still found a way to win because of how well the defense played.
Yeah, and I think there were definitely some signs in Saturday's matchup that still kind of showed, Sellers still obviously very raw. We've been kind of talking about that for a long time. A lot of the there's still not really an established, wide out one, except, Nick Harbor's made some great catches over the last couple of weeks. So I think, once the offense as long as this offense continues to gel with each other a little bit better, I think it's only up and up, especially if we're going to lose some pieces on defense next year.
Definitely. And again, 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in on the Firehouse Subs text line or the Love Chevrolet phone lines. Get to some of these reactions here. Let's see here. Says, how shameful is it that they canceled Bedlam until 2031, the Oklahoma State rivalry game goes back to 1904. That's a different situation than what we had on Saturday, but Oklahoma is a program that is certainly suffering right now. Brought this up at the end of the last hour. They've already fired their offensive coordinator for that abysmal showing, not only on Saturday, but how they've done this entire year. Chris weighs in and says beating Coach Venables was so sweet, especially with a dominating defense like that. # karma, because again, he had so many great Clemson teams that hurt South Carolina over the years during that dominant run that Clemson had. And then, Nameless Texter weighs in and says, did Hawkins burn his redshirt year? Let me see here. I think, if I'm thinking correctly, that because I know Jackson Arnold has now burned his red shirt, but let me see how many games that Michael Hawkins Jr. has now played in, because I think he's also played in 4 up to this point. So, and for those that don't know, if you play in more than 4 games in a season, you are not eligible for a red shirt that year. And Mike Hawkins Jr. comes in as true freshman. Yep, he's played in 5 games. So, and that's something else that is hilarious about this from the Oklahoma standpoint. So they have mismanaged this quarterback thing so many different ways. Dylan Gabriel left for Oregon, and now he's leading that team to being number 1 in the nation right now. Jackson Arnold was, given the chance to start behind a bad offensive line without a whole lot of weapons around him. They bench him, and they bring in Michael Hawkins Jr., the true freshman quarterback, who's now burned his red shirt by playing in 5 games, and now they put Jackson Arnold back in. It's a whole mess. It's a whole disaster. This whole entire quarterback room could be gone at the end of the year because Casey Thompson doesn't have any more eligibility left as their 3rd quarterback. I don't know what they're going to do. And again, Venables already fired the offensive coordinator. That's one scapegoat. Like, you're next as the head coach if this doesn't get better.
Yeah, that offense doesn't sound like it's headed in the same trajectory as the Gamecocks defense, at least. I mean, when you kind of don't really know who's going to be commanding that offense, and then the guy that's drawing up all the plays is also booted out of the equation, then you kind of got to, gut the whole thing and start over, it sounds like.
Another Chris weighs in and says here, that was a should win for South Carolina. Oklahoma is FSU bad. Looking forward to seeing if South Carolina can defeat a ranked opponent to qualify for a bowl game. And that's a point that I brought up earlier. Yes, Kentucky and Oklahoma, your 2 wins in conference play, are not really good teams. And we've learned that Kentucky is continued to regress. They got beat pretty handily by Florida over the weekend, but that's how you're supposed to beat those teams. When you face teams that are not good overall, you're supposed to beat them by 20-plus points. You beat Kentucky by 25. Now you beat Oklahoma by 26. Now, again, the offense still has a lot of work to do. I don't know how much better they're going to get, but your defense plays like this. As I've said, you should be able to hang in there with anyone.
Yeah, and like you were kind of saying, you got to get those, I don't want to say garbage wins, because a win's a win. But, getting those wins against those lesser conference teams, that's how you kind of establish, you're ahead of the pack in that regard. I mean, going into this season, we were laughing if the Gamecocks were going to win more than 7 games. And here we are saying that they very much could make a case for possibly being 5-1 if 2 in-conference games go a different way. And then you could say, they at least beat either LSU and Bama or one or the other. And then the conversation completely changes. But like you were kind of saying, you have to beat those lesser teams just to kind of establish yourself at least in the middle of the pack, or at least heading in the right trajectory in conference play.
Let's slide in another caller here. Again, 803-404-6100. Scott wants to weigh in. Scott, appreciate your time this morning. What's on your mind?
I've heard some of the experts saying this morning, they don't know what we need to do. They don't know what the problem is with the offense. Well, I've been trying to tell them for 2 or 3 weeks. I noticed that we cannot drop straight back. If we can't block them, you got to do something different. It's like those story goes, you're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again, and it's not working or changing. That's crazy. It's crazy. They've got to get out of the pocket. They got to move the pocket. They got to do some different things. Once they start doing some different things, yes, they'll probably be able to drop back some. But you can't drop back 90+% of the time, especially when you're not stopping the other team. And, our offense was horrible in the second half. I mean, we got 3 points in the second half. We had plenty of times I wanted to see our offense go down and score and show that they could score. They did not show us that. So, yes, it was a great win, but I am not pleased with the offense at all. And I'm telling you, the offense, it's play calling. You've got to call the right plays to put the quarterback in a better position and the whole team in a better position. I'm telling you, it boils down to play calling. It boils down to them not getting out of the pocket. and doing some different stuff. They keep trying to do the same thing, and it's not working. How long is it going to take them to realize that? And that's my take on it.
Yep, appreciate the call there, Scott. 803-404-6100. And that is the negative coming away from this game, is the offense didn't really do anything. You had the short field where you score the rocket touchdown, then Josh Simon catches the touchdown a little bit later on in the game where he was just completely wide open. But other than that, not really a whole lot to write home about. 185 first half yards for Carolina, and then 69 second half yards. And as Scott mentioned there, only the 3 points coming off that field goal. Now, I do think when you're up 21-0, especially with an offense that is as turnover prone as South Carolina is, I don't think they were pulling out anything crazy from the playbook. I think it was, okay, let's just manage what we have. Defense is playing great. Let's not put Settlers in a position to potentially turn the ball over and make this ball game. I think they just went very conservative, which is a frustrating thing to watch when you're trying to see your offense move down the field. But I think they were just trying to not put themselves in harm's way more than anything else the second half of that game. Not saying that's right or wrong. I just think that's what they did. But definitely a lot of improvement needed in this offense if they are going to, make strides as the rest of the season goes along, because you do have some good defenses you're going up against where scoring points is not going to be easy.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Tyler, especially regarding the conservativeness on offense going through the second half. I mean, when you look at the game against Alabama, there are multiple times that game was pretty much sealed for USC if they play more conservatively and they take care of the ball. But I think they just didn't want to get ahead of themselves in this one. And although conservative ball isn't the most exciting, it was the smart game plan, and ultimately they came out with a dominant victory. So I don't knock them for it.
Plenty more reaction to this game as the morning goes along. But a lot of things happened over the course of the weekend in the SEC, including a big game in Austin, which had its own share of controversy. Hit that coming up next. Extra Point, Tyler Head and Sam Shapiro from WIS, along with you in Reaction Monday here on The Game.
The Game Network in Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.5 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach.
100.3 The Game.
Everyone wants you to pay for their streaming app. You gotta have this one. You gotta have that one. Well, not us. Here at The Game. Why? Because we love you more than they do. Just go to iTunes or Google Play and download the 107.5 The Game app for free. 107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Hey, Columbia, Scott here with Traditions Fine Jewelers, telling you about the diamond buying difference when you purchase a diamond from us. No matter if you're looking at mined diamonds or lab-grown diamonds, at Traditions Fine Jewelers, we have a huge selection of both, and which you choose is up to you, but either way, you always get trade-in value of the diamond solitaire you purchase. When you spend over $1,500, you'll get a limited lifetime warranty when you get your ring checked every 6 months. Traditions has an in-house jeweler with over 30 years experience to take care of your every need. Ring sizing, stone setting, or if you just want to come by and get your ring cleaned. At Traditions Fine Jewelers, we have hundreds of mountings to see, touch, and feel, and to try on, or we can special order or custom create the perfect engagement ring for you. Traditions Fine Jewelers, 5134 Sunset in Lexington, or in the Village at Sandhills. Traditions Fine Jewelers, where the Midlands get engaged.
I'm Russell Ott. If you're like most people I talk to, you're just tired of the nonsense in politics. It's getting harder and harder to really know where candidates stand on the issues. Politicians seem to pledge their allegiance to parties rather than people. All the silly games do nothing to help families and businesses that are struggling to pay the bills. It's time to push back on politics as usual and get back to common sense solutions that work. That's how we create a stronger South Carolina. I'm Russell Ott, and I'm asking for your vote for state senate so I can get to work for you.
Paid for by Ott for Senate.
Hey guys, Jay Phillips here with Ben Cato, third generation owner of Cato's Power Equipment. You hear me talk all the time about my awesome 30-inch Toro Time Master. It has made my yard work so much easier. I'm spending more time with the family on weekends. Neighbors are jealous of my yard most of the time. Guys, I just feel good when I'm behind that mower.
I'm glad you do, Jay. You and I are different people. I love selling the equipment. I love working on the equipment. I don't really enjoy using the equipment, but hey, doesn't matter. You're a little lazy like me, or you wake up on the weekend super excited to mow your lawn. It's got to get done, right?
All right, so why not get it done with the best tools possible? Do what I did. Visit the guys at Cato's Power Equipment. Let them show you all the ways they can revolutionize your grass cutting obligations.
Whether you're doing it to keep the HOA happy, the wife happy, or you cut grass for a living, big or small, any budget, Cato's Power Equipment is here to help.
Visit Cato's Power Equipment today, 4012 West Beltline Boulevard, and always online at catospowerequipment.com.
Hey, this is Ray and Nathan with Pope Davis Tire and Automotive.
Anyone else have an irrational fear that when you get a flat tire, a creepy clown will show up to help?
Skip the nightmare and come to Pope Davis for free flat repairs until Halloween.
We will make sure you don't have a killer trip.
Free flat repairs, no clowning around.
And if you need a great price on tires, we've got your back, without the balloons.
Find the right tire at the right price at PopeDavisTire.com.
Honey, Jane just told me how much she paid for Bob's funeral. I was shocked. I hope we'll have enough to pay for our final expenses so we don't burden the kids.
Don't worry, Susan. We have protection through Gerber Life. Last year, I signed up for their guaranteed life insurance. It's a whole life insurance policy that helps with final expenses, such as medical bills, burial costs, and unpaid debts.
When did you do that? I don't remember taking a medical exam or answering any health questions.
That's because we didn't. With Gerber Life Guaranteed Life Insurance, coverage is guaranteed regardless of health. And best of all, our premiums won't increase over time.
I have to tell Carol about this.
Just tell her to go to GerberLifeFamily.com and answer 4 easy questions, and she'll get a free personalized quote instantly. That's GerberLifeFamily.com. Again, that's GerberLifeFamily.com.
It's Reaction Monday.
Sponsored by Carolina Honda Powerhouse. CarolinaHonda.com. From the Midlands to the PD to the beach. The Game Network.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point in your Reaction Monday. Tyler Head and Sam Shapiro along with you here. Time to start taking a look at what else happened around the SEC. And there's no bigger game than what was happening in Austin, Texas, as number 1 Texas Longhorns welcomed in the number 5 Georgia Bulldogs, premier matchup in the SEC, a matchup that many think we might be able to see once again in Atlanta here in a little over a month's time. But Georgia, despite the loss to Alabama earlier on the season, looked like the Georgia from a couple years ago with just dominating defense to the tune of 7 sacks. Not quite as many as Carolina had on Saturday, but quite a few themselves. They held a high-flying Texas offense to just 259 yards en route to the 30-15 win there in Austin as Georgia jumps up to number 2 in the AP poll after that one. And a lot of people say formally welcomed Texas to the ACC or the SEC on Saturday.
It was an exciting game for sure. I think both teams had a lot. Well, Texas had a lot more to be excited about defensively. I think in the beginning they, didn't make it easy for Georgia, but I think Georgia kind of got their footing, as the game kind of progressed. And I mean, they really capitalized on some holes in that Texas defense.
And Georgia, as shaky as they've been at times this year, the defense looked the part on Saturday, as we've kind of been waiting to see from them this year. And I don't know if that means they are the top dog in college football right now, but if they play like that on defense, they're going to have the ability to take it to any team that they have left on their schedule. That being said, the conversation coming away from this game stemmed around controversy. On Saturday, in the third quarter, Carson Beck threw his 3rd interception of the game. It was intercepted by Jahdae Brown, the defensive back for Texas. And he ran the ball all the way down to the Georgia 9-yard line to set up Texas for a first down in the red zone, 1st and goal, with 9 yards to try and get their 2nd touchdown of the game. A flag comes out after this play, and it is called on the field that there was pass interference, and that was going to negate this interception. The crowd, none too pleased about it, starts pelting the field with bottles, cans, and all kinds of other crap, and it causes a delay for several minutes in the game, to which, once everything was cleaned up and they were ready to play again, the officials then said, hey, actually, no, it wasn't pass interference. We're going to give Texas the ball at the 9-yard line, where they proceeded to score the touchdown, and at that point in time, that set them up for Yeah, their second touchdown of the game, which made it a one-score game at that point in time. There's a whole lot wrong here. I want to start off, though, cut number 31 here, Ed. This is Kirby Smart on his perspective on this and what it means going forward.
He just said the guy got it wrong, or the guy called it on the wrong guy, which it took him a long time to realize that, you know. So it's one of those things that I don't know what I'm allowed to say and not say, so I won't comment because I want to respect the wishes of the SEC office. But I will say that now we've set a precedent that if you throw a bunch of stuff on the field and endanger athletes, that you got a chance to get your call reversed. And that's unfortunate because to me that's dangerous. That's not what we want. And that's not criticizing officials. That's what happened.
Kirby Smart is 100% right. We have opened up Pandora's box where, like you said, if you're not pleased with the call, I can just throw crap on the field and get it overturned. Two things can be true. The decision that what happened was not actually pass interference was correct. When you go back and look at it, it wasn't pass interference. It was just normal hand-fighting contact that you have between receivers and DBs on every pass play ever in football. I agree that shouldn't have been pass interference. However, they had gone through the procedure of throwing the flag, converging as officials, agreeing that it was pass interference. Head referee keys up his mic, announces the penalty. They respot the ball, ready for the next play. And then all hell breaks loose and people are throwing things on the field. And then, and I'm assuming they're playing this play on the big screen during this delay. Then they look up there at the big screen, say, guess that wasn't pass interference. And after a several-minute delay because of the bottles and cans, they say, actually, we're going to pick the flag up. That's not how this works. Pass interference is not a reviewable penalty. Once you have announced the penalty, once you have respotted the ball, whether it was a correct call or not, that's it. It's over. You got to move on to the next play. This was a abysmal level of incompetence from SEC officials, something that, you know, we keep thinking they're going to get worse and worse. They're getting worse and worse, and Saturday was a perfect example of that.
Yeah, you can't let something like that kind of just fly by. I mean, even if, you know, they replayed it initially, they could have taken time to really, I guess, discuss what they were going to say before going out there and queuing that mic up. I mean, like we were talking about during the break, they could have easily said, you know, actually there's no penalty on the play. There was an interception, and Texas has the ball at the 9-yard line.
We see flags get picked up all the time because one official will throw a flag for what he thinks he sees. When they all come together, they say, actually, it wasn't that. And they will say, there is no flag for pass interference on the play stands, whatever. But when you call the penalty, when it is announced to the crowd, when the ball is respotted for the next play, which at that point in time was giving the ball back to Georgia, that's it. It's over. Now, with calls like targeting, sure, you can review that. Intentional grounding, those things can be reviewed. Pass interference is a non-reviewable penalty. They wholly screwed up a very simple procedure here, and it gives off the air, as Kirby Smart said, that if you don't like a call, you can just trash the field and get your way. Let's go back to Carolina and LSU a couple weeks back. And this is getting a lot of conversation because it was in the biggest game of the weekend with the entire nation watching. It would still be a big deal if Auburn and Mississippi State were the teams and not Georgia, Texas, but because it was Georgia, Texas in the primetime game of the weekend, it's getting a ton of attention, as it should. So let's go back to the South Carolina LSU game. Kyle Kennard gets called for roughing the passer, or unnecessary roughness, after the Emanori pick six in that game. Completely changes the game around. If Carolina gets that touchdown, then we're talking about maybe Carolina winning that game. So by this standard here that we've set on Saturday, if instead of just booing really loudly and chanting "ref, you suck," if all the fans in Williams-Brice Stadium would have just completely trashed the field, causing a multiple-minute delay, then they could have gotten the call overturned. Because that's what you're telling me as a fan in the SEC I can do to change the outcome of a game. And whether that be because the officials were fearing for their own safety, trying to leave the stadium, or what it is, that is the standard that you set. And the SEC put out this BS, statement regarding it, blah, 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 blah. They fined Texas $250,000. That doesn't do anything. You have to tell us that the officials handle this incorrectly, or else it's going to happen again.
Well, finding the school isn't holding the fans that actually, littered on the field accountable. It's not going to change how they feel about a certain type of that. Like, I remember sitting on my couch, watching the game, and just thinking like, oh my God, they're really going to, was kind of surprised at first that many fans were throwing bottles, but once I saw the replay, I couldn't really blame them. I kind of was like, I get it. You can't be that way. But anyway, I thought it was interesting that it actually worked. It seemed like it worked in actually overturning the call, or at least that's how it was presented.
That's what it looked like.
It's going to happen again at some point now.
Unless you put your foot down as a conference. And by the way, they should have also been penalized for delay of game. We've seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
That literally delayed the game. Steve Sarkisian had to go to the other end zone and hold his arms up in the air, telling people to stop because he knew that was probably going to end up being a penalty on their part.
It's just going to hurt the team.
They screwed this up to the umpteenth degree in a way that I've never seen before. And again, this is the biggest game of the year in the SEC so far. The conference has to do something and put its foot down, or this is going to continue to happen again because you've opened up Pandora's box and you're telling people it's okay if you pitch a fit and you make the officials fear for their own safety, they'll overturn the call. And again, it's going to happen again if they don't do something about it.
Yeah, I don't understand why that. I don't understand why they were just holding the fans more accountable. Like at that point, you gotta, don't you throw those fans out of the game?
Here's the interesting thing about this, and this obviously didn't end up costing Georgia the game, and they still won. And this was tweeted out by the Barstool Longhorn account earlier on this morning. Students are being texted from a 805 number that they've been identified for throwing things onto the field, and they have had their tickets revoked for the rest of the 2024-2025 academic calendar.
You see, that will provoke change. That will provoke change.
After the fact, not in the moment. In the moment, it will not. And that is on the school itself. The school is revoking those tickets, not the SEC.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, going forward, other schools will look at that and hopefully go, oh, maybe if I'm one of those bad...
When you're in the moment as a fan and you're angry, you're not thinking about this.
That's true.
The SEC has to put their foot down, or else this is going to happen again. Again, you've opened up Pandora's box. You've got potential more disasters on your hand if you don't fix this. And again, they brought it upon themselves because you have nickel and dime officiating in the most powerful conference in all of college football, and the SEC and Greg Sankey have nobody to blame but themselves. That's one game that happened this week in the SEC. The other big one was Tennessee and Alabama. But that coming up next as the X Point rolls along on your Reaction Monday here on The Game.
From the Midlands to the PD to the beach.
The Game Network.
It's back! The Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. Just go to 1075thegame.com and register. The pot starts at $100. Every week it increases $100 if Carolina doesn't score a special teams touchdown. But if the Gamecocks do score a special teams touchdown, you could win the pool. Again, just go to 1075thegame.com and register. It's the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest from 1075 The Game.
Is joint pain, soreness, and achiness getting in the way of your best life? Football legend Emmitt Smith refuses to back down to pain. That's why he's a huge advocate for QC Kinetics and their natural approach to getting you relief.
Look, we get one trip around, so I wouldn't ever let pain stop me from hanging out with my race team, traveling with my family, or golfing with my friends.
Emmitt's got it right. And QC Kinetics uses regenerative medicine to relieve that never-ending pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back. And the best news, there's nothing foreign being introduced into your body. Just your own body's natural healing properties. No surgery or no downtime.
If pain's holding you back, maybe it's tennis, pickleball, running, hiking, or spending time with special people in your life, what are you waiting for? This is precious time. Get out there and get over to QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. 803-281-6860. The Columbia Chamber is teaming up with Greater Casey West Columbia Chamber to host a friendly sporting clay tournament Wednesday, November 20th. This unique and entertaining fundraiser will consist of a friendly sporting clay competition, followed by prizes for teams and individuals with lunch and a post-tournament reception. The proceeds will benefit both chambers to continue to support and promote their business communities. For details on registration and sponsorships, visit ColumbiaChamber.com. Don't miss the Sporting Clay Tournament, November 20th.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevy. It's back to cool season with big-time savings on Tahoe Suburbans and the all-new Chevy Traverse. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Hey, Columbia, Scott here with Traditions Fine Jewelers, telling you about the diamond buying difference when you purchase a diamond from us. No matter if you're looking at mined diamonds or lab-grown diamonds, at Traditions Fine Jewelers, we have a huge selection of both, and which you choose is up to you, but either way, you always get trade-in value of the diamond solitaire you purchase. When you spend over $1,500, you'll get a limited lifetime warranty when you get your ring checked every 6 months. Traditions has an in-house jeweler with over 30 years experience to take care of your every need. Ring sizing, stone setting, or if you just want to come by and get your ring cleaned. At Traditions Fine Jewelers, we have hundreds of mountings to see, touch, and feel, and to try on, or we can special order or custom create the perfect engagement ring for you. Traditions Fine Jewelers, 5134 Sunset in Lexington, or in the Village at Sand Hills. Traditions Fine Jewelers, where the Midlands get engaged.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, the ultimate lunch lineup boasts wall-to-wall sports and scenic views. When you're hungry and in a hurry, the Scratch Kitchen delivers lunch in the clutch. I mean, where else can you order a 29-degree draft beer and a quickie combo on your lunch break? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks Scratch Kitchen scores every time. Dig into hand-smashed burgers, chef-inspired flatbreads, and more at your local lodge.
I don't know what's scarier, the spot your pet just left on the carpet or the idea of you trying to clean it. Good thing you can call my friends at Zerorest Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning to get your home insanely clean. Take advantage of their spooktacular savings and get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $129 when you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. Easily schedule your cleaning online, ZerorestColumbia.com. Zerorest, a smarter, lasting clean.
Bingo. All right, Bill, we're recording now. And please put your phone on silent.
Oh, where is my phone?
Let's go, man. Okay. Get it together over there, player. Go ahead. Pick on me the way that you want to.
I wouldn't say that to my son.
Just go.
Like, why would people want to listen to the Sims Complete podcast?
A father-son dynamic duo talking about the game of football.
We do a lot of quarterback and coach talks. It's fun. I love doing this. It's been awesome.
Sims Complete. Check us out on the Believe Network. Appreciate it.
Just search Believe, BLEAV, wherever you listen.
It's Reaction Monday.
Sponsored by Carolina Honda Powerhouse. CarolinaHonda.com. From the Midlands to the PD to the beach. The Game Network. What team sprung a leak this weekend? Sponsored by American Leak Detection.
Williams has been targeted 19 times. Jalen Milroe fires, and it is intercepted. Will Brooks picked it off.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Sam Shapiro along with you on your Reaction Monday here on the Game. That was Sean McDonough on the call on Saturday on ABC as the Tennessee Volunteers sealed the 24-17 victory with an interception in the last minute and a half there to take down the Alabama Crimson Tide. Second time in 3 years. Only the second time, though, in the past 17 years as it was a wild game out there in Neyland Stadium. And for our Who Sprung a Leak, brought to you by our friends over at American Leak Detection, it's going to go to the Alabama defense because in the first half, they pitched a shutout. They had only allowed 143 yards to Tennessee. The third game in a row, the Tennessee Volunteers offense had been shut out in the first half. Second half was a different story. 24 points, 265 yards as Nico and the Volunteers offense woke up and led the Volunteers to the 24-17 victory as now they're still very much in the driver's seat for maybe getting to Atlanta and playing for the SEC, while Alabama is drifting off, wondering what's next.
I think Alabama fans are crying in the club right now, but I don't think Tennessee fans were maybe expecting to come out and win, especially after that first half. I mean, Alabama actually played pretty good defense in that first half, and it was I don't know what happened, during halftime, who said what or what Wheaties were eaten, but clearly whatever Wheaties they were eating at halftime clearly didn't help them come out and, be that same team in the second half.
The Alabama defense in the first half was effectively lights out. Again, Tennessee was in position to score several times. Alabama took the ball away 3 times. They did not allow them to convert. They only allowed them to convert 1 third down in the first half of that game. Second half was a different story. As I said, 265 yards, 170 of them on the ground allowed. They allowed 5 of 9 third down conversions, and they didn't take the ball away a single time in the second half. As Nico, credit to him, because, again, he's had his up and downs this year, and since conference play has started, he certainly looked shaky. In the first half, he was only 7 of 15 for 99 yards and 2 interceptions. Second half, whole lot better, 7 of 13, 95 yards and 1 touchdown.
See, the one thing that was interesting to me about this game was, it wasn't like the Carolina game where it was a one-sided, complete onslaught, kind of basically decided within a quarter. You had both teams, Alabama their pass defense looked great in the beginning of the game, and I think that was a big problem for Tennessee. They were trying to get things going in the air, and it didn't really work. They came out in the second half. It looked like they kind of relied on the run a little bit more. They found a couple holes. They kind of sprung the leak, so to say, there kind of to start, and then once they kind of got more comfortable on the ground, then they kind of realized they had more flexibility in the pass game, and that was when they really started to open that Alabama defense like wide open. And I think that it was kind of a slow trickle, but I think they kind of pinpointed a weak spot and then kind of just continued to make the hole even bigger.
Yeah, and this game was a tale of 2 halves. The first half, again, you had some defensive plays, but only 7-0. And then the offenses woke up in the second half, and, of course, it ends up being the 24-17 win for Oklahoma there. Cut number 33 here, Ed. This is Kalen DeBoer, Alabama's head coach, after the game on taking yet another loss this season.
Obviously, a tough loss, frustrating loss. We've had 2 now. And we just can't play team football, can't bring it together. One side of the ball has highlighted moments, and the other side, stumbles and, some missed opportunities. And you try to look inward and after every game. And, we got to continue to do the same. I know we got a locker room that's hurting. I feel like it's, there's always, a common feel in the locker room after a loss, but these guys, I have no doubt in my mind that they poured everything into the preparation. Just frustrated we can't get over the hump.
This is the first time since 2007, which was Nick Saban's first year at Alabama, that they have 2 losses before the month of November. Look, Kalen DeBoer, his record speaks for itself. He is a winning head coach that's won everywhere that he's gone. But this Alabama team looks nothing like teams of Alabama's past. And they still got a lot of talent, still a lot of 4 and 5 stars everywhere on that team, but they just look like they lack the physicality that you need to be a top dog in the SEC. They look like a good team, but they don't look like a great team.
And, Kevin DeBoer also, I believe it's his first season coaching in the SEC, so I think it's a different animal from when he was coaching at Washington and the Pac-12, but I just Alabama. What's funny to me is I feel like there are a lot of Alabama fans that haven't experienced what it's like to see their team lose more than 2 games in a season. So I feel like, one, the fan base is kind of in shock right now. They're not used to this, and from somebody that is a fan of multiple fan bases that's like, oh, we're losing, just tear it down. I can understand why they're maybe hitting the panic button right now, but it is only 2 games. For all we know, Alabama could go out and win the rest of the regular season anyway. They tend to do, they tend to trend more in that direction than they do in the direction they're kind of trending right now.
That's past Alabama teams. This is a whole new era.
Right.
Whole new coach. So I try and put what Saban teams have done in the past out of my mind, because this is a new head coach that has a different philosophy. They still can play LSU too, which LSU is undefeated in the conference as of right now, and I think they're going to have a good shot at beating Alabama. And it's not just the fact they've lost these 2 games out of the last 3. It's also the regression of Jalen Milroe, who, again, coming out of September, I think was the top dog for the Heisman, especially after he played against Georgia. But he's steadily taken steps back in the game since. Since the month of October started and they played Vanderbilt, Carolina, and now Tennessee, he has 3 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He has not rushed for more than 36 yards in any of those past 3 games. All those came against South Carolina last week. He is steadily taking steps back. which is not what you want for your quarterback in the second half of the season. He's getting worse, not getting better.
Yeah, I definitely think the decision-making on his part maybe is maybe on the decline, or it hasn't been as strong as it was, maybe in September. It also kind of seems like he's not really relying on his feet or his athleticism more than he was before. He's trying to rely on the pass play a little bit more, but I feel like we've talked about multiple times, just how much of an elite athlete Milroe is and how much that adds to his game. I think, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Like, if it's working for you to kind of use your feet to either create a better pass or get out of a situation that you would be throwing, turning the ball over, then use that to your advantage.
As I mentioned, Alabama's schedule still has some tough challenges ahead. They play host to Missouri this weekend. Now, I don't think Missouri is that great of a team, 21 in the country as of right now. They could beat Alabama. I wouldn't be surprised by it. They got to go to Death Valley and LSU 2 weeks from Saturday after coming off a bye. Again, I'm already chalking that up as a loss. I don't think they're good enough to beat that team. They'll beat Mercer. They should beat Oklahoma. Weird things happen against Auburn, but they should be able to win that game. I'm looking at a 9-3 Alabama team, and one that, quite frankly, losing to Vanderbilt, Tennessee, and LSU, I don't know if that's enough to get you in the playoff, which I know there was a change in head coach, but I think most Alabama fans said, okay, well, maybe you don't win the SEC, but you should be in the playoffs every single year, or at least, close to it. And I don't know if this Alabama team's going to make it or not. It looks like they're trending in the wrong direction as of right now.
Yeah, the Bama name, I feel like, gives them so much leeway, even at 9-3. I mean, even this weekend when we were just talking about Texas and Georgia. Georgia wins one game against Texas, and now they're the number 2 team in the country. Like, they're getting ranked over Penn State, who's still undefeated. So it's just sometimes a lot of the name and the prerequisites and the resume sometimes add to it. But I could definitely see the 9-3 case pushing them out of that playoff push, and especially having a new head coach. They might even lose 4 games. They might even lose more than 3 games.
It's a troublesome look for Alabama, to say the least, and those fans are none too pleased with Kalen DeBoer as of right now. Remind you, once again, coming up tonight, Monday Night Football, Ravens and Buccaneers, 7:30 pregame, 8:15 kick, all right here on the game as we wrap up another week of NFL football. We'll also have to put a bow on the college football weekend with my favorite segment of the week, the oddities of college football. That's coming up next. Tyler Head and Sam Shapiro along with you on your Reaction Monday here on the game.
107.5 The Game.
In Columbia.
100.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.3 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
This is Boomer Esiason with Sports Minute, sponsored by Old Trapper Beef Jerky. Old Trapper, what's your beef? The Chargers visit the Cardinals. Arizona's inconsistent Kyler Murray is under pressure to perform, but could struggle against Jim Harbaugh's solid old-time defense. Meantime, Justin Herbert, playing through leg injuries, isn't being asked to do all that much heavy lifting. So I do like the Chargers 27-23. I'm Boomer Esiason.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this. If something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick. Soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors. Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max.
It's time for mortgage protection with Preston and your top broker, Benji Getzy from Buford Lending. Rates continue to fall. Hey, Benji, give us this week's Mortgage Minute.
6 straight weeks of declining rates.
and a Fed rate cut, now is the time. VA 30-year fixed, 4.9%, APR 5.2, and the VA IRRRL, no income, no appraisal, close in 10 days, 4.8%, APR 5.1. 30-year conventional looking good, 5.5%, APR 5.8. Second home, investors, 6.3%, APR 6.7. And the DSCR, fix and flip financing, 6.9%, APR 7.3. And don't forget construction lending. Call for details. Thanks for shopping your rate with Buford Lending. We want to be your broker. Rate subject to change, equal housing lender, credit restrictions apply, NMLS 1703543.
For more information on how Benji and his team at Buford Lending can help you, visit them online at buford.mortgage or call 843-524-2404.
It's better over here. If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data.
All right, welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Sam Shapiro along with you here on your Reaction Monday on the game. It's time to take a look around what else happened in the world of college football. Real quick, though, I want to remind you, the craft beer card, new craft beer card, has arrived. Only $59. You can save around $300. Just go online to 1075thegame.com and enter to purchase the new craft beer cards on our sweet deals tab. Want to take a look at the oddities of college football, my favorite segment of the week, as we embrace all the weird things that happened around college football over the weekend. Ed, I want to start off with this one real quick. Hit me cut number 34 from Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State.
You can be aggressive, but just because you convert doesn't guarantee that you make it one possession. So you would hope that you can make, a kick, one of those, but our kicking game's atrocious. So if you can kick and you're at Arizona State, email me, right? We're going to have kicking tryouts on Monday. So bring it on, kicking tryouts Monday. Let's go. Yeah, I'm dead serious. We're going to put it out on our social. We're going to have a kicking tryout on Monday. We got to find somebody who can make a field goal.
So, first of all, Kenny Dillingham is doing an amazing job at Arizona State. 2 weeks ago, they took down then number 16 Utah at home, 27-19. Huge win for Dillingham, and certainly a lot of reason to be excited about that program. Kicking is not going well for them. Their place kicker, Ian Hershey, has not made a field goal in the past 3 games. 0-1 against Kansas 2 weeks ago. Didn't have to attempt any last week against Utah. And then 0-2 against Cincinnati in a game they ended up losing by 10 points. Kenny Dillingham's had enough. And apparently, if you go to ASU and can kick football, send him an email because he'll take you, at least for tryouts.
When field goals are deciding games, the kicker can sometimes be the most important position on the team. You're either the hero or you are what completely destroys, you can make a break. They can totally make or break a game.
Yep.
And it's crazy to think that they're probably on the field the least amount of time out of everybody in that game, but they have the biggest impact. And, when you have a really bad kicker, it's really, really bad.
Yeah, so they're trying to figure out their kicking situation out there in what is a very wide open Big 12 for Arizona State. So Northwestern this season, because their new stadium is being worked on, has been playing next to Lake Michigan on this, I think it was originally a soccer field. They brought in makeshift stands. Beautiful scenery, by the way. But the Wisconsin strength and conditioning coach, in playing this game on the road at Northwestern over the weekend, promised his team that if they won the game, that he was going to jump into Lake Michigan. Well, Wisconsin goes out there, proceeds to win 23-3, and true to his word, Wisconsin strength and conditioning coach Brady Collins did indeed, I imagine it probably pretty chilly, jumps into Lake Michigan, full gear, all on, as the team is in their still uniforms on the rocks watching this happen. Strength and conditioning coaches are a different kind of crazy, and this is right in line with that.
Well, if he's spending all that time in the gym training those guys, he definitely had enough muscle to bear those cold Lake Michigan waters. They're definitely not warm this time of year, and I don't know why he would promise his team doing that in the middle of October.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. Hopefully they got a nice blanket after that because it was probably pretty cold. All right, so Illinois and Michigan played this weekend, which, by the way, Illinois had the coolest throwbacks I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
The hand-painted leather helmets. Very old school, very cool. I think those are like hand painted. It took like 2 hours to make each one. Very, very cool. The Fighting Illini ended up winning the game. But the most bizarre thing happened. Luke Altmaier, the quarterback, ends up on a quarterback sneak, scoring a touchdown in the, I believe, second half of this game. And his helmet comes off, right? Now, by the letter of the law, when your helmet comes off, you have to stay out the next play unless a timeout is called. Because this is essentially saying, we want to make sure the helmet's back on properly and he's okay, those kind of things, instead of just running back out there. So he scores the touchdown, but the way in which his helmet comes off, because if your helmet gets ripped off via face mask, you can come in for the next play because it's via penalty. So they had to go back and review how his helmet came off to determine if he could be on the field for the 2-point conversion after that. Now, of course, this causes a delay because they're reviewing it. They review that he did have to come out for the next play, but it was the same length as a timeout, which would have, if they would have called a timeout, he would have been allowed to come in for the next play. It's where rules in college football sometimes don't make sense, and this is a shining example of that.
It just seems a little redundant, but I think it's more interesting they were wearing those throwback uniforms and his helmet came off, because I would imagine when they wore the real leather helmets, they wouldn't come off so easily like that.
I've never thought about that. Which they didn't have like chin straps. Well, I think they eventually had chin straps. But yeah, I mean, there's obviously no face mask penalty back then. But the helmet coming off, it's not a penalty. It is a rule.
Yeah.
I think that started in 2012. That when you came off, if it came off, you had to come out for a play. Then you come back in. That's again to make sure that your helmet's back on securely and that they're evaluating you, that you don't have a concussion or whatever. But the fact that they spent the time reviewing it determined the way that it came off meant he couldn't come in for the next play, when if they would have just called a timeout, he would have been able to come in for the next play anyway. It's funny to me.
Like by them reviewing it, they're basically it would have taken the same length of time if they had just called timeout anyway.
Last one here. UCF taking on Iowa State. UCF DB Braden Marshall intercepts a ball, attempts to run it back in for a pick six that would have given them the 35-27 lead in the fourth quarter of this game. He drops the ball at the 1 yard line.
No.
How are we still doing this? It happens every year, multiple times a year. How do you keep dropping the ball how does this keep happening? How do you not hold on to the football until you cross the goal line? I don't understand how this keeps happening.
The broadcast even jinxed him. They had in the graphic pick six. That was not a pick six.
Well, it looked like it until they went back and reviewed it. Now, fortunately, they still kept the ball and scored a touchdown one play later. But how does this keep happening? How do you keep having guys fumble the ball a yard short of the goal line?
I guess sometimes when you're right in front of the end zone and you're that excited and you're just like, I did it. I don't know. I would at least get 2 feet in there before I'm thinking of dropping that ball. I don't know. Free points.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
It's ridiculous to me. That'll do it for today's edition of The Extra Point. Coming up next, it is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hours. We'll continue to react to what South Carolina did to Oklahoma and Norman on Saturday during your Reaction Monday here on the game.
.1075 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Trane heating and cooling systems are tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together.